Hey there. Today I'm going to be giving a brief report on my experience attending both my first Adepticon, but also attending my first ever large miniatures convention. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. So let me start by saying that trying to get over a head cold going into a 4-day awesome non-stop days of gaming and activity is a surefire way to get what is commonly known as the con crud. Thankfully, I have tested negative for the dreaded COVID, so I'm at least clear on that front. However, this con crud has been kicking my butt this last week or so. So this video is going to be a bit more of a stream of consciousness uh, with bullet points rather than my more typically structured videos, and is also the reason why you're seeing me here instead of my traditional setting. But with all that said and disclaimed and everything else, let's talk about Adepticon. And so that I don't bury the lead too much, I did manage to take first place in both events that I signed up for over the weekend. That included the What If Snake Draft and the more traditional Swiss tournament format that ended up having a turnout of 66 players, which is really cool. But even cooler is that there were over 200 unique people signed up to play Marvel Crisis Protocol at Adepticon in the different MCP events specifically over the weekend. And that is just so awesome and crazy and encouraging because MCP was all but launched into a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. And so after 2 years, it's finally able to start making appearances at bigger conventions, and it's having such great turnouts. And I just find that super encouraging. So my hat is off to the organizers for making it possible in the first place and work really smoothly, all things considered. So shout out to Mike Tisdale and Tim Simpson, who I did get to meet over the weekend and were absolute gentlemen, and directly responsible for the MCP events, as well as Hank, who is a much bigger deal than I had recognized when I got to meet him, as he's basically one of the directors over Adepticon, but he was also just constantly checking in both with his team and all of the players on the floor. And it's just so cool to see somebody that's so high up, I guess, on that level, just checking in with everybody while also making sure that everything's going smoothly, putting out fires and anything else. So again, hats off to these guys and really anyone else who was involved in making Adepticon happen, especially after that really weird 2-year hiatus. I can't wait to come back for more. And from here, I want to talk about the 4 formats of MCP that were played. And then I'm going to hit on the community that was just amazing over the course of the weekend. And then basically, after all of this is said and done, if you haven't gone to a minis convention yet or gaming convention, any of that kind of stuff, why I would recommend at least giving it a try. So the entire weekend long, they had an open play area for anyone who wanted to just play a pickup game, but there was also an organized play kit pass that was just available as well, where you could pick up and keep the different scenarios like Vibranium Heist, Mutant Masterworks, or my personal favorite, Separation Anxiety. So those were available to just anybody and everybody over the course of the weekend. You could come over with a couple people and be like, hey, we want to try this. You go, you play it, and you get to keep the promos and all that kind of stuff. Then Thursday opened up the What If format. And this is a snake draft. If you're not familiar with that term, it's where players are going to pick characters taking turns. Everybody's assigned a number 1 through 8. And so then number 1 will pick a character, number 2, so on until number 8. And then 8 will get a second pick. And then we'll go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it goes back and forth. That's why it's called the snake draft. Which in itself is already a really cool format. But then Mike kicked it up a notch by saying that once you have a leader selected, everyone else on your team counts as affiliated for that affiliation for the rest of that event, which means that my team of Steve and his Avengers, like Medusa, Loki, and Venom, could also all play Avengers Assemble. So this was a format that was a blast to play, but honestly, half of the fun was just drafting and seeing what other combinations were put together by some of the other players. Justin, who you have seen on some battle reports, managed to get a double pick with that 8th spot. So he got Green Goblin and then Reality Jim Corvus. And then no one stopped him from getting Proxima. So he ended up with a crazy kill team that I was very glad I didn't have to see on the table. One of my opponents was Wakanda, and let me just say, sitting down across from a Mystique, Black Panther, War Machine, Valkyrie, and Craven, who could all play Wakanda forever, was downright terrifying. Granted, I guess my own super controlly Avengers list is nothing to scoff at, as Venom, Gwen, Loki, and Steve played a really mean game of King of the Hill, basically, against Magneto, She-Hulk, and Sabretooth in that final game, where my opponent would activate a character, and then I would push or pull that character off of that objective. So if you want to check any of these games out that I'm talking about, that we're hoping happening over the weekend, you can check out the Professional Casual Network. They were streaming basically all weekend long, nonstop. So shout out to those guys for being awesome. Also, just extremely kind people. I was very happy to meet them, but more on that later. Friday, there was a team event where you and your teammate would each build a partial roster and then play together. Like it's a 2v2 kind of situation, all on the same board. And to help facilitate this, each crisis added an additional 6 threat. So the games were big and brutal. I didn't personally participate because I knew I wanted to have a day off to just kind of explore the vendor hall, see what else the con had to offer since it was my first time there, and also just to have some time to get pickup games in. And that was great. I did get to explore the vendor hall, got to demo a few other games like Conquest, Rivenstone, I believe is what it's called, the one that Will Hungerford's working on currently. It's about to go on up to Kickstarter in April. Both very cool. So it was just a really good day to chill, but also getting to watch some of those games for the team tournament format was also really cool. But really just a day also to kind of take it all in and just kind of be in this massive convention center hallway where you have literally hundreds of other people rolling dice and just kind of having fun. It's such a great atmosphere and kind of cool to be in. Saturday was then the more traditional Swiss event that had 4 rounds, and then the top 4 players moved on to the next day for finals, including myself. If you want to hear specifics about my matchups and what my Avengers team did and all that kind of stuff, you can check out the House Party Protocol podcast or Dr. Norbert's stream on Twitch. I've gone a good bit more in depth with the matchups that were played there. You can also check out the Gamers Guild podcast coming out next Tuesday, where me and Sooner will be talking about that, and I'll have listener questions to answer about my list, the matchups, and all that. And I'm kind of excited to see what questions pop up. And if you're wondering about the list itself, if you actually want to check out the video that came out previous to this one, I fully revealed my roster and a couple of my tricks before Saturday going into it, so you can see what's up there. And I will say now, though, I've gone through the big event. I am a bit excited to also start sharing some of my thoughts on the deeper strategies starting next week, on like how I decided when I wanted to take my extracts or secures, if I won priority, being able to pick point totals when that matters, when I lost priority, how I decided what characters to bring into what matchups and all of that. I'm excited to dive a little bit more into that because it's not something I've really done before, and it's honestly not something I've really thought about that hard before. So excited to share that thought process with you all as well. Then Sunday, the last day of the con, there was an affiliation battle where you could only have affiliated team members in your roster and the rogue agents. There were then prizes for best in each affiliation and so on. And that just seems like a really cool people just rocking their favorite affiliations and having a good time with it. It's obviously a much more casual format. And really, I think if you're looking to run any of these events locally, it is very doable and absolutely worth trying out, especially the ones with the cool twists like the snake draft, the team tournament, the affiliation battle. I have links to all of these, by the way, in the rule sets in the description of this video if you and a couple locals maybe want to give it a try. And now I kind of want to just talk about the surrounding community for Marvel Crisis Protocol, specifically at this event, but probably at any Marvel Crisis Protocol event, because, well, it's the same community for the most part, I think. And it's also just kind of where I spent most of my time. I wasn't really sticking around in like the Games Workshop area or anything else. So this is just what I had experienced. And this community is amazing. Not surprising to probably many of you. The hosts and TOs who volunteered for just a crazy amount of work over the weekend and making the event happen is amazing. There was a strong showing of content creators showing up, just from the miniatures world, but also MCP specific. But all of them just super nice individuals. Some of them I even got to roll dice with and just had a blast of a weekend. And not to mention, there were just a few people that introduced themselves as fans of the show. And that was definitely a highlight of my weekend, is just getting to meet people who have watched and been like, hey, this is something that helped me. And like that's what this stuff is mostly up here for, is trying to get people into the game, maybe teach you a couple of tricks, and send you on your way to either discover them yourselves or find some of the other content creators that do put out a little bit higher level of play of content and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to have got to meet a lot of people, roll dice, just kind of all that. And another highlight, and I'm going to start getting into reasons why I think you should try a con if you haven't before, and that's just getting involved with the people at the convention. Wednesday night, first night of the, it's not even like officially the con yet. Like they hand out badges, but that's kind of supposed to be it. Was when me and Matt first came in and ended up meeting Tim, our TO slash judge, and Omnis of Omnis Protocols. And after we set up some tables, we got to sit down for a game of separation anxiety. And afterwards, we ended up going out for burgers. We talked about the game, my hate for how any spicy chicken sandwich is now referred to as Nashville hot, and just any other topic that arose. So, and this is why I think if you never tried out a minis convention, you should at least give it a shot. The community is super welcoming, and you just get to play games from something casual like the organized play kits, or you can come in and test your skills in a bigger event if that's your thing. There's just kind of, at least in MCP, there's something for everybody there. And the opportunity to be a part of something bigger and for the community is just so cool to me. And the other reason, and I'm a big food fan generally, but you get to try some local cuisines or local restaurants. And not surprisingly, Chicago doesn't disappoint. Matt and I went out to a place called Kuma's Corner a couple times, which is like a heavy metal bar with some crazy burgers named after different bands. This, for example, is the Sour Vein. To me, it is just the chicken and waffles on a burger. And of course, we couldn't leave Chicago without trying some classic deep dish. And judge me all you want, but I do believe that pineapple is fine on a pizza. Really, I wish I had taken more pictures to share with you all, and hope you're willing to take the plunge into a con weekend at some point, because this was my first one. And while there are things I would have changed, like more pictures, maybe trying to get a little bit more sleep, amongst other things, I can only encourage other people to go out and try it if you get a chance. But this is also the beginning of a new month, which means we also have a giveaway for a non-Ultimate Encounter MCP expansion, thanks to the guild sponsor from Tritex Games. So we'll draw that real quick right now. And we are loaded up with comments from, this is April, so March. And Tommy Doom. Well, Ghost Spider, I believe, is still used a lot. Guessing this is in reference to my top 5 underused or underrated characters. Ghost Rider probably, or Ghost Spider rather, is probably one of the ones that's higher up there, but I don't know. I feel like she could still see more play for the insane amount of control and defensive tech that she offers out to everybody. But that's just also me starting to nitpick, I guess. And with that said, that's all I've got, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry it is not a super cohesive video. It's been a crazy couple weeks after getting sick, dealing with the kiddo, doing Adepticon, and just kind of everything else. But next week should be a little bit more back to the normal. I'm excited to start this series on kind of looking at the turn zero elements of the game with roster building and some of the decisions that you don't always make in the game, but some of those pre-game decisions are just as, if not even more important than some of the game time ones. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you all for watching. Check out our sponsors, Tritex Hobbies. Oh my goodness. Check out our sponsors, Tritex Games over in the UK. Tritex GGCP5 at checkout will get you an extra 5% off. They already save you up to 20% off their pre-orders over there. And then if you want to order more in the US locally, War Room Hobbies is actually based here in Tennessee, and you can use the code MCP2022 for an extra 10% off of your order. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.